I recently did a makeover on my space, and part of the reason was it was just too cluttered. I had a mixed match of different storage solutions in here, and I got overwhelmed really quickly. So I brought in Best Craft Organizer Furniture to have one system in place for my entire room, and I'm gonna walk you through how that's set up. In my first cabinet that I have here, this is a desk height triple cabinet. It focuses on my chalk paste and my stencils. On this first side, I've got all my chalk paste tools in here. So I'm actually storing them in some TE boxes. And then I've got just the towels in here for doing that chalk paste. If you guys haven't done those chalkboards, they're so much fun. I have a mix of chalk couture paste and also some magnolia. And I use grids, and this is the Crafty storage jar grid that actually works with this as well, to keep the colors kind of organized. And then with my magnolia paste, they're a little smaller, so I can get one in each slot. That's how I keep all of my chalk paste and all my colors organized. And then over here, I use the paper shelves to organize all the different stencils. I keep everything alphabetically here. They're in a paper sleeve, so they're easy access, and it also keeps those a little bit safer, I feel like, too, and protected. And then I've got them labeled with the paper sleeve. Those are our 8.5 by 11 paper sleeves. So that's that first cabinet. Back behind me, I have all of my cardstock on this side, and of course it's in rainbow color. Again, I use the paper sleeves to store all those scraps and keep that with the color, so I always have that there. I've got my inks in our ink pad carousels, so you've got my Distress all by rainbow color. I use the oxides the most, so I've got the large size there, and then I put the Distress, the little minis next to it that have the matching color. Then I have my Tailored Expression inks as well, all in the carousels, and that utilizes that space really well to keep all of my inks. Up here is how I store my cards. I try to keep what I have in stock to a minimum so I don't get hundreds of cards. So if I start to go past this, that's when you start to donate to different places. Moving down here, this cabinet has a mix of jewelry making and paper crafting. On this side is most of my jewelry making supplies. So I've got everything labeled in accessory trays. So this is going to be our 30 embellishment tray. And then I've got your antique gold findings, the bronze, silver. It's such a great way to organize all of your jewelry making supplies. I'm mostly using the 30 embellishment tray on this, just in terms of what my quantities of how much I keep of each color. Guys, kind of some funny things that I use a lot, but this was a really great place to store them. So one, a girl's gotta have her nail polish. So I do have all of my nail polishes organized in grids. So you can see you've got lots of different colors here. I've got 2 drawers just dedicated to that, because a lot of times I will actually do my nails in here. So coming up, just some other things that I keep in this cabinet that are kind of more paper crafting related is I have my metallic markers in here. I've got watercolor pencils stored in here. My mini ink cubes by Altnew, so I've got a selection of colors of those that I keep in the mini ink cube grid. And then I've got foam pads that I do use with Distress occasionally. Most of the time now I use blending brushes, but I have those stored there as well. I also have all of my wires stored in here. So again, I use that Crafty storage jar grid to keep things organized, and these are all my wire for jewelry making, and it does a really great job of just keeping them in place so they're not moving around that drawer as I open and close it. So that's how I use this cabinet, and again, I have a mix of jewelry making and paper crafting here, but it holds a lot of supplies, and because I keep everything in these single drawers, I'm not digging through drawers to find something. It kind of is dedicated to a specific supply, which is what makes it so easy to find, and cleanup time goes so much faster. There were two keys to my room when I was designing it. One was I absolutely had to do Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. You're gonna see some things here in my lightsabers, and I've got my droids, and I had a lot of fun making this room me. The second thing is, guys, I'm always cold, so a fireplace was so important to me. So I did have this built-in fireplace and then just kind of an electric thing that I can turn off and on as I get cold. That was just a huge part of my space to make it cozy, because I love that feel and that ambiance in a room. So moving over here, this is another one of my XL triple cabinets, and most of this is paper crafting over here. So I have my Gina K inks over here. Then I have my distress sprays. So same thing, I keep these in a small acrylic crate for easy access. I have some 6x6 paper, and then the 6x6 paper sleeves to keep any scraps stored, and then also labeling the designs. I found that I like this setup because it's easy for me to flip through and look at the colors, so that was part of the reason I did that. And then I have all of my design paper, my patterns, my fun paper. I've got to show you guys one. Let me see. Of course, I've got to have my Star Wars paper. And I put all of my stickers in a 9.5x7 storage pocket. So it just keeps all that organized together and in one place in terms of my cardstocks over there, and then all my design paper is over here organized. Going through the drawers, I have some sentiment drawers where I just keep all of my sentiments that are pre-cut and kind of ready to go. So there's a couple of drawers of that. And then I have some sticker drawers. I'm starting to learn more on Bible journaling and mixed media. So these are the drawers that I don't have a lot in them yet, but I know that they're gonna grow. And that's one of the things I love about Best Craft Organizer is everything I have here is customized to me. So even this little slot here, the height that I have so I can put my sprays in here with the acrylic crates, that's how I wanted to configure it. And then I wanted to have a carousel underneath it. So it's very custom to me, and the same for the drawers. I kind of planned out that these are some of the crafts that I'm gonna get more into, and Bible journaling and mixed media are two things that is very much growing for me right now. If this doesn't stick, because sometimes we think we're going to get into it and then we change into the next thing that's out there that's too much fun, I can still reconfigure this again. You can change it to double drawers, triple drawers, single drawers. You're not stuck with one set of drawers based on how I have it configured right now. So that's one of the things I really love. I've got things like my punches in here. I don't have a lot of punches, so because I don't have a huge collection, I just keep them in a drawer. But you might have one, so you might want them in a carousel. Again, customizing that space to you. I've got a finished backgrounds. Have you ever just had a lot of fun with either watercoloring or alcohol inks? So I keep some finished backgrounds in here in case I ever want to pull something out for a card quick. And then I have also like this cinch machine I have stored in here for doing just the little booklets. So again, just some tools and some fun things for mixed media, scrapbooking, or different types of projects. Moving down, I have our desk height single cabinets so I could create a desk. So when they are combined with the legs, they're the perfect height for desk height. So I've got my marker color sheets where I'm keeping all my colors organized if I need that. I have some templates that I've kept that I really enjoyed making just so I don't forget how to do a card, because guys, how fun is that? I just keep those templates handy. I have some large stencils in here for doing just quads or again, a larger project. Further down here, I have another set of drawers, again, a single desk height cabinet to just keep my tabletop on. And I've got my photo tools. I've got screwdrivers because you would be surprised how often I need those in my space. And then my label makers, my photo tools. I've got some coloring pages and things like that, just if I don't want to do a full-on project, but I do want to do something creative. I have a craft caddy with my pens. It works really great for also keeping my remotes safe, because if I could tell you how many times I have lost my remotes and looked for them in my space, I have found this to work really well for that. On the end of the table, I actually put a station for cutting my paper. I don't like having all those paper scraps where I'm working, assembling, or creating a card. So I keep it right here so I can just quickly come over here and I don't have to take a paper cutter in and out, move it around. It's set here, it stays here, I cut my paper here, and I move on to the next station. Back behind me, I have my stamp case tower. I've actually put more of my products for IKEA or products that will fit in this instead of using it for stamp cases. I have some stamp cases on the bottom. I just don't have a lot of stamp cases because I put more of my supplies in storage pockets and on magnet cards just for in terms of the space that it takes. But I do love this for having all my markers displayed. I love, love, love alcohol markers, you guys. I have some ribbons stored here, and then just some fun decor as well. One of the newer pieces of furniture in my space is this die cutting and embossing station, and I really love this so much. It basically is similar to a double storage cabinet in terms of the storage, but then it has this more triple cabinet top, which gives you more workspace area to have it as a station, and it hangs over a little bit, so then you have these hooks on the side so you can hang your heat gun, and it just keeps all of those supplies in one space so you can come over here, do everything. It doesn't clutter up your work area where you're assembling, and it just makes it easier again to clean as you go, keep things where they're supposed to be. I have, of course, my Gemini on top, which is my die cutting machine. I also have a Gina K die cutting machine down here below that I occasionally use. There's paper shelves that this comes with. It's already configured for you and ready to go. You have your magnet cards, 12 by 12 magnet cards, where you keep those dies that you use frequently. I think I use the stitch rectangles on pretty much every card I make. So I want those to be able to access quickly, put them back as soon as I'm finished, and then that's already clean and it's not something you have to go back and clean later. And then on the bottom, I added shelves. So in the station, it actually comes with drawers, but I reconfigured it because I wanted some shelves there to put another die cutting machine. And then I also have this basket of new products that I need to label and put away. So that kind of goes there. When I get something new, it'll go into an archive. So I keep it there until I go through that process. On this side, the top drawer, I have my die cutting plates. So I'll open this up, pull these out. I don't even shut the drawer most of the time, guys. I'll do my die cutting and then I slide these plates right back in. So I've got my die cutting plates, die cutting extras, die tools. If I need to pick any of those small delicate pieces out, I've got the tools there. And then we go into the embossing portion of it. So I have all of my embossing powders organized. I flip them over so I can see the colors of them. I keep my embossing platform. I do a smaller one with my embossing ink pad. Most of my inks are going to be stored in those carousels, but because this is specific to this process, I actually keep it together here. So again, it comes out, I use it, it goes back right where I'm working in this station. I know one of the questions you guys are probably wondering is, okay, I have a lot more dies than that. And yes, so do I. These are just the dies that I use frequently. So it's all of my shapes, my labels, things like that are what I store here. So things that I use frequently. And I used to have them all out in crates, but it felt so cluttered to me. I did change that. and I put them in a closet. But I have all of my dies stored with their sets, with the stamps, in creative crates or acrylic crates. So I have 2 creative crates here. I used to have it by brand, but I wanted to try by theme for a while. So planes, flowers, all my sentiments, shapes, they're all organized here. And then I also use this drawer. I found that our large acrylic crates worked really well in here to just divide this drawer up, and I keep all of my dies in these drawers as well. That's where I keep all of my stamps and die sets. So they're kind of tucked away, and then I have just some other things in here as well. It's a closet, that's what happens to closet. But yeah, that's how I organize that part of it. So we're gonna jump to the last fun piece in this space that I'm really excited to share. This is the craft island, and guys, this is a game changer in my space. It provides so much storage for me, but also gives me a work surface area that I can stand at. And that was one of the things I was missing in my space. I used to have an L-shaped desk, but I always had a lot of back pain when I was crafting. And because this is bar height, I'm about 5'7½", and it's the right height for me to where I'm not hunched over. It keeps me pretty straight, regardless if I'm standing at it or sitting at it. I have a chair I put in here as well, and I love that about it so much. But again, it provides so much storage under that work surface area that I was able to get my mix of crafts that I have in here, regardless if it's paper crafting, jewelry making, the chalk paste for chalkboards. It gives me more space to organize all of those supplies. So on top, I have my glass media mats. This is my assembly area. The other areas where I'm doing most of my ink blending. On top, I have a jar carousel with the caddy. This was to keep my paste that I use on some cards if I'm doing stencils. Then also those most used tools that I'm always grabbing, like your scissors, your spray, some small blending brushes, my tape runner. Things like that are really important to keep easy to access as you're crafting. Moving into the drawer area, I have all of my embellishments organized in the Crafty storage jars. So I've got a couple of these. It is recommended to put these in a double drawer, but I wanted to save this space, so it's a little tighter going in and out, but it does work if you want to save this space. I keep all my foam adhesives just kind of in a drawer separate from some of my other adhesives, so those are organized in there as well. I've got my washi tape drawer with my dispensers, so I can quickly grab those out. And again, I try to keep my drawers organized where everything has a space. So you might look at a drawer and go like, oh, you could put a lot more in there, or I can store twice as many supplies in that drawer. That might be true, but I want to keep it very specific to what's in that drawer so I can easily find things, but also put them back quickly at the end of the day. I've got an envelope drawer. So once I finished a card, I can grab an envelope so it's ready to go. My alcohol marker paper stored in a drawer. I've got some globes, acetate, that types of things stored in a drawer. On the other side, I've got my watercolor pencils, which I do use quite a bit, so those stay up at the top. I have my stamp platforms stored here. I have my scoring tools and my stamp cleaner. I've got liquid adhesive stored in here. I'll typically pull out my sweet petunia. This is the coolest thing ever. So I'll use this quite frequently, and I'll pull that out when I'm doing a project, but that's where it's stored when I'm not. I've got gem sheets in storage pockets organized, because those are stored a little different than in the Crafty storage jars. I've got some tools in here, so my watercolor brushes, my paste tools, some sprays, different things like that in here. I've got some watercolor paints, and just that whole process is organized in here. And then I've got down here like my paints and my Nouveau drops, so these are all organized in the grid as well. The grids are what keeps you really neat when you come to those drawers. If I had these all thrown in a drawer, every time I'd open this drawer, it'd get mixed up. So having those grids are so important for keeping that drawer super organized. So that's what I have on this side, but guys, that's not it. This thing has a whole nother set of storage on the other side. So I'm gonna kind of twist it around and we're gonna look at the other side. And move this back. So I added a hook myself. The die cutting and embossing station comes with a hook. The Craft Island doesn't, but all you have to do is grab some 3M hooks and you can place them wherever you want. So I added that so I could have my little pop-up wastebasket there, especially as I'm working. I can just sweep things into that. But then on this side, I have all of my card-based paper, so my whites, my heavy whites, my layering whites, so all those neutral colors that are really used frequently as the bases of those cards are on there. And then I've got some metallics and just some fun colors at the end of that. I also have these tailored expression boxes where I keep all of my blending brushes. I've tried a few different options with blending brushes and I've found that I like this the best. And then I just have some fun markers in here as well, and then my simple strips that I have by Tailored Expressions. I keep some scoring boards and some of those larger tools like this just kind of put into the side of here. I've got a couple of different scoring boards based on if I'm doing scrapbooking or paper crafting. And then I've got my photo albums and another cutter at the bottom. So much storage in this craft island that also works as a workspace area. It allows you to create, but also stay organized while you create. Thank you so much for joining me on this tour of my space. Again, I use Best Craft Organizer from everything from my work surface area to my storage solutions and cabinets. It's one system that allowed me to create my entire craft room and keep it organized. So I hope it gave you some ideas for your own space. Now go and unleash your creativity.